Mm-hmm. So big. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me 1 second. Let me get this. You might need to give me some water or something. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Oh my God. Oh yeah. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Oh my goodness. Had to something feel like my throat dry or something. Well, I was appreciate everybody that's gonna come on here tonight, this evening. We put well, I didn't really put a debate out there this evening, but how you doing, Irma? How you doing, Dominique? Shantae, how you doing? So this morning, well, this afternoon or rather, I posted something about MLK, right? And of course, as usual, some people didn't agree with me, which is okay. I mean, people don't agree with me anytime. I don't mind that. But what's up, Tony Leach? How you doing, brother? But what I said was perfectly true, in my opinion, from my standpoint. Everything about MLK has become, as African, we have accepted just a celebration. Once again, shiny, and shiny and free, right? We've accepted this thing about a celebration when it comes down to Martin Luther King, but there's no true action to anything. We go past these church events. This Sunday, Sunday had the little Martin Luther King Day program, and then you had the cities around here, doing a little Martin Luther King tribute, so that. But the truth is, all that shit's just a bunch of distraction. The truth is, we are hypocrite to everything the man tried to talk about. People don't even understand why Martin Luther King was actually assassinated. I'm not saying all people. There are some who are very woke who understand why Martin Luther King was assassinated. He did not die. So stop talking about Martin Luther King died. He didn't die. He was assassinated. Right? And those who assassinated him was never actually truly held responsible for his assassination. We live in a country where the government's jealous of African Americans. The government builds is on African Americans' back. The government continues, and those people that did what they did to Martin Luther King was never brought to justice. Truly, they was never. It's easy to put somebody down for a scapegoat, right? Easy to put somebody down for a scapegoat. But the truth is, the true reality of it is that those who did what they did was never brought to justice and never really held accountable. But on the back end of that, our true responsibility is us. We have a problem as African Americans. We have truly a bigger problem because we're sitting here and we're celebrating Martin Luther King and they're going here doing this Martin Luther King, going here doing this Martin Luther King, but we ain't doing shit in our own communities. We're celebrating and uplifting everybody else in their communities about Martin Luther King and for Martin Luther King, but ain't doing jack in our own communities. We're not doing anything like our own communities. And when you look at it, it's a fact. When we look at it, it's sitting right there. When we look at it, excuse me, it's something that's truly right there. So we continue to not understand that we're the laughing stock because we keep talking about Martin Luther King, but every place you go to where the Martin Luther King Drive, what's on Martin Luther King Drive? Exactly. It's either beat up, toe up, gang infested, drug infested. But why is that? Why is that the fact of what it is? Martin Luther King Boulevard. You go to Chicago, King Drive is a number of fucking gangs and infested and poor, and it looks tore down except for except for the part where they having white people coming in and buying and causing gentrification to it. Other than that, it's the same thing, right? We sit within that same position of where we're not taking ourselves seriously, but yet we want somebody else to take us seriously. We're not doing anything as far as developing of our own community, but yet, we want to blame somebody else, or we want to put the responsibility back on somebody else. I am tired of seeing all these Martin Luther King celebrations, and no offense, there's nothing disrespect to Martin Luther King himself or anything like that, but a lot of people don't understand why he was even assassinated. He was assassinated. Understand this: this African American man was assassinated. Okay, and for us to continue to sit up here and act like, oh well, we're gonna keep hope alive and this peace and all this other stuff. No, let me tell you why Martin Luther King was assassinated. I'm gonna tell you why Martin Luther King was assassinated. I'm gonna let you know why Malcolm X was assassinated. I'm gonna let you know why Hughley, why those of the Black Panther Party was continuously put up in prison. How you doing, Fatisa? I'm gonna let you know why they were. Martin Luther King was assassinated because he realized and understood from an economic standpoint how strong African Americans could be in this country. He was no longer talking nonviolence. You need to start doing your research, people. Martin Luther King started talking about economic empowerment. Economic empowerment. He was no longer sitting talking about nonviolence, and turn the other cheek. Martin Luther King had got on board with there needs to be more done. We're no longer turning cheek. Now we're going to start having we're going to do an economic push. We're going to have an economic power, economic position towards what we're trying to push towards and do. Therefore, he became a threat, right? For those who were jealous of him and wanted to steal his stuff and wanted to backbite him and everything else, he became a threat. And the threat that he became was that it wasn't really a threat. It was just that obviously what he had seen already was that as African Americans, we built this country up. African Americans, we put this country in an economic position unlike any other. We built America. Okay? And if any Caucasian wants to sit and say that that's not true, I'll sit down and challenge you one-to-one. I'll sit down and debate you one-to-one. Facts to what you're going to say is your opinion or some illusion. Let's bring facts into the picture. But back to what I was saying, Malcolm X was assassinated because he's seen the economic position that African Americans could have in this country when we unite. The things that we're able to do when we unite. Those people, evil people, was jealous of that. And I'm gonna tell you something. They assassinated Martin Luther King because he wasn't talking nonviolence anymore. He was talking the same aggression or the same get back or position of being able of saying, you slap me in my face, we're no longer talking about nonviolence. You slap me, I'm slapping you back. You hit me, I'm hitting you back. The position had now become where economically there was going to be a stronger push for not just equality, but say, well, hold on a second. Now we see where we sit at. We see where we are. We understand how powerful we are. We're going to not sit back. We're going to sit here and now start doing things that allow us to put ourselves in a position to where we're able to enjoy the riches of this country that we've so definitely built upon, right? And when Martin Luther King started doing that, when that became what's the name? He says it's no fairy tale that there are those in the Martin Luther King camp who were what we call straight up Uncle Toms. We had some definitely Uncle Toms in Martin Luther King camp. We had some people that was jealous of him. Everybody who gathered in your camp ain't rooting for you. They're looking for an opportunity to stab you in your back, right? So there were those who were in this camp that was definitely that. We already know that. Malcolm X was killed for the same reason. Malcolm X was assassinated for the same exact reason. Assassinated because of Malcolm X understanding that as African Americans how strong we are. And I'm gonna tell you something. It wasn't just Malcolm X. Malcolm X was assassinated. You talk about one of the two. And let's take this back to Chicago. We're gonna talk about Larry Hoover, right? We're gonna talk about Larry Hoover, and we're gonna talk about Jeff Ford. Larry Hoover and Jeff Ford, two. Larry Hoover formed the Gangster Disciples, which is one of the most powerful gangs that's right now in Chicago, but spreading across the country. Jeff Ford formed the other gang, which is L. Rookins, the origination of L. Rookins. And you can look what I'm up. You can look what I'm saying to you up. And L. Rookins and Jeff Ford actually is in prison right now. He's gonna probably die in prison because of a terrorist act or per se terrorist acts of wanting to buy bombs and stuff from Gaddafi, right? They say the bomb the police stations in Chicago. I don't know how true it is. I don't know, but the reason why these men will not be let out of prison, the reason why the Black Panthers will never let out of prison, is because of the power that they had in unifying African Americans. Do you understand the power they had in unifying African Americans as a whole to go after a certain goal? It scared the white government, and I'm gonna say it like that: the white government. And I don't care if they see me. I don't care what, because the truth is the truth. Everybody pretty much know it. But here's the part where we have a problem at. We're continuously sitting up here celebrating MLK Day, Malcolm X's birthday, and other strong people, but we're not doing anything with it. Everything so far has just become a big ass celebration to these things, but we're not economically doing nothing with it. We want to get up here and have the church sessions. We're gonna have a church program about Martin Luther King. Hey, Brianna, how you doing? And then you got the people go out in the community. We're gonna do this for MLK Day. We're gonna do this for MLK. At a certain point, the BS has to stop. We're continuing as African Americans. We're bullshitting ourselves because number one, we're celebrating Martin Luther King in communities that we don't even that's not even represented by us by business ownership. We're walking up and down the street talking we want to change the violence, or we want to change the community, and we don't even own 10% of the damn community when it comes down to business ownership, right? We're celebrating Martin Luther King Day in the neighborhoods that has been specifically targeted with drugs and gangs to destroy not only the name of the man that the street is on, but also to plummet and to call pilgrimages and pillage through the community that's there as well. We cannot sit up here and act like for some odd reason or another, we're ignorant to the fact of what we see around us. You go to any place, Martin Luther King Boulevard, Martin Luther King Drive, Martin Luther King Street is either drug infested, gang infested, or both, and it is also debilitated. Some of us are so fucking stupid, and I don't mean to say that for everybody, but I'm just saying that for those who want to get on and oh, Martin Luther King, and man, please, whatever. I wish I had a long hand stick so I could slap them, because you continuously talk that stuff right there, but you're not investing in the community that's sitting around you. We continue talking about let's march Martin Luther King Day, but we're not doing anything that's actually progressive and pushing towards what's there. We're not building anything in our own communities. We're not progressively standing up in our communities and saying no drugs in our communities, no gangs in our communities. We're going to build our community up. We're going to invest in our community. We're going to put stuff in our community. We're going to put nice homes in our community, especially with MLK. If people really believed in that, if people really honored this man and what he stood for. But the truth is, if you go to the average person or an African American and ask them anything about MLK, they probably couldn't tell you nothing. They probably couldn't tell you shit. But, well, he was about civil rights. He's more than just about civil rights. They can tell you. Most probably couldn't tell you where he was even born at. His home is Atlanta, Georgia. They don't even know that, do they? And the fact is that it's a damn shame. It's a damn shame that in a lot of ways we have people that will allow or position themselves or I won't say position, that we will allow people or allow ourselves to forget what the truth was about the movement. It wasn't a movement, and it wasn't, let's understand something. The civil rights movement, yes, is about African Americans and civil rights, but it became an open door for so many other races as well. Asians, Jews, Arabs. Now let's picture this. Think about an Arab coming to America in the 60s. Oh, you thought we had it bad. They probably hung him by his feet and his head, in places. But those type of things that open up doors for other things. But for some reason or another, we continue to sit up here and we turn a blind eye to something. We're so attracted to what's shiny and free. Oh, let's have MLK Celebration Day. We don't need no more damn celebrations, because we're not doing anything with the celebrations itself. What are we celebrating? We're going to go into church and celebrate an MLK activity, but then walk outside and got the damn Pookie and them on the corner selling drugs. Right on MLK Boulevard. But we're celebrating. Some of us, it's either a lot of us are cowards, But and some of us are very ignorant to the fact, but there are a percentage of us who just don't give a damn, right? And I'm gonna tell you, there's some of us who just straight up, I'm gonna put it like this, who are Uncle Toms and just ass kisses, because when you go to these people and they're supposed to be so community involved, or they're supposed to be so want to help the community, and you petition or you put something in place, oh no, we can't do that. No, we can't do that. That's gonna make the Caucasian people mad. Don't do that. And what the hell are you talking about? You know, and in our own communities, we're not taking a stance. We're not getting together. We're not bonding together. The reason Martin Luther King was assassinated. Yes, you're right, and women's rights too, Gunner. You're right, Richard. Women's rights as well. And Martin Luther King was assassinated because he began to talk about unifying as an ethnic race to push change. It was no longer nonviolence, but it became, from an economic standpoint, a band together. And guess what he started talking about? I want you just to research it. Martin Luther King started talking about buying property, buying assets, accumulating property, coming together and buying up blocks and fixing our blocks up, fixing our communities up, right? It wasn't no more about nonviolence so much. It was that was still talked about, but now the shift began. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X began to start having more collaborations and talks about what could really happen, what could really be done, what could really be pushed forward. Now, I want you to understand something. This is how devious, and people say, because it's our reality. Our government plotted against, and governments always plot against when it came to African Americans, Latinos, or cultures in this country to try to destroy them. The only thing we do, we continue to quantify. We multiply by 4s and 5s, right? And the message and the spirit of that was that the message continue to spread, even becomes even stronger. You can't destroy what's good, plain and simple, right? So they begin to talk about this. They begin to collaborate this. They begin to discuss this. And Martin Luther King to see that what we're talking about, no one's going to ever take a notice of it. But then at the same time, we have to be in a position of where we own ownership. If we're in ownership, now our voices are heard even more. Now our position becomes even stronger because now we're in position of ownership. So Martin Luther King started talking about unifying and buying property, unifying on an economic level and becoming stronger, unifying not only in having our own businesses. Same thing, Malcolm X was saying the same thing, and taking a stronger stance against crimes against us, police brutality against us, and no longer talking about going to white-owned establishments or these establishments that didn't like us. So what? Form our own establishments, communicate in group economics in our own communities, right? Another Black Wall Street. Now, what happened after that? After they was both assassinated, what happened after that? Drugs began to get put into the community. The government. He says, and I don't care, at some point in life, the truth has to come out. The truth is going to come out. That's spiritually and biblically written, that those who did what they did it's going to come to light. And they will be called out by name, in position, and place, and they will stand before the world in judgment. Understand that, right? And this is already a spiritual thing that's going to happen already. But they destroyed this, and then they put drugs into the African American community, put drugs to the Latino community, put drugs into communities to destroy the people in the communities, but even more so to cause so much disfusion in these communities to where there was no more unification. Drugs was only put into the community for one purpose: to disrupt those who were unifying, to cause this disruption, right? Now, the backfiring part about that was that they didn't think that there'd be so many Caucasians hooked on heroin. More Caucasians hooked on heroin, and now they opioids, and now they got meth. See, whenever you try to curse someone, the curse comes back to you 3 times harder, because the curse has to fall on the originator. That's how the curse is complete. The curse may go out, but it also has to come back. And they don't understand that at a spiritual point as well. That's why when you bless people, the blessings come back to you twice as much, right? When I bless you, the blessings come back to me twice as much. If I curse you, the curse come back to me 3 times as much, right? So we ain't gonna even get on that because a lot of people don't understand that. So when they did this, when they positioned and they particularly positioned this and put crack, heroin, these drugs in the African American communities to destroy them, it was to continue to keep them from being unified. People can't be unified if they're strung out on drugs. People can't be unified if they mentally all jacked up. People can't be unified if they run around from drugs and they trying to get drugs and they sitting and robbing and raping each other and killing each other. And then what we did, and our responsibility in is that now you have these people who form gangs. And the gang said, well, we need to make money. So what we're going to do, it was a manipulation tactic. Well, sell drugs, you're going to make money. But the drugs were sold in the same community that they live in. And then they get this whole thing about they love the hood and they protecting the hood, which is another big lie. But on top of that, they didn't have to try to destroy the community more because we was doing it ourselves. We began to start selling heroin and cocaine and all this stuff in our own communities. So we continued the process ourselves. We picked up ourselves. If you know anybody who sells drugs in their community, anybody who sells drugs, period, they are a destroyer of the family around them, the people around them, and the community around them and themselves. They are not a lover of the community. And I want you, whoever you know who's selling drugs, I want you to point them out, pull them to the side, let them know that this is not the way to go. And this is what you are. You are an enemy of the community. But so on the day of MLK birthday or what celebration and stuff like that, my problem with that is that people don't even understand. They don't even understand the whole effect of the thing. They don't even understand what it really meant. They don't even understand where we're supposed to be at. And the reason why I say this is because we still sit in a position where black NFL players making white owners billions of dollars, but that they don't want the black players to have their own NBA team. They didn't want Michael Jordan to have his own basketball ownership, his own basketball team, right? But yet Michael Jordan made the NBA all his money. We continue to put ourselves in a position of where our talent is being pimped out as if like we're slaves, and Caucasians are making more money off of it than we are. But it's our talent. The problem with that is, here's the problem with that. It's just another reforce of slavery itself, right? How now here's this. The NFL is $1 billion industry, but yet you don't have one black owner in the NFL, right? You barely can get a black coach to get them to give a black coach. So what happens when the people begin to realize this? What happens when the NFL players say, you know what? No, especially the black players. I'm going to just tell you like this. If the black players in the NFL would just stand up and say, you know what? No, we'll form our own league. They're still going to get people to watch them. You know why? Because people like watching football. They are the talent of the football. It's not the white owners. The players are the talent of football. Same as the NBA. NBA players stand up and say, you know, we're going to have our own team. We're going to form our own team or form our own league like Ice Cube has done. The players are the talent. The talent is what's being watched. Anybody watching an old white person play on basketball, period, right? The talent is right there. And then it came down to baseball. Baseball became the same thing in a way. But then you see Hispanics. Now you do have, what's name has his own baseball team, Rodriguez or whatever, down there in Miami, the dog. But so many Hispanics and Latinos start playing baseball, right? When they start standing up and saying, we want our own organization. See, it's easy to give the shiny and the glittery. But when you become in position of ownership, now you're a position of power. That's why they don't want black NFL owners. That's why they don't want black NFL NBA owners. That's why they don't want that. That's why it's up for us to also understand to support Ice Cube in everything that he's doing. 3-on-3, support it. That's why it's also up for us to understand in our own communities, we need to uplift our brothers and sisters. We need to go to them and talk to them and get them a way out from selling drugs, because they ain't nothing but a destroyer of the community itself. And I'm not saying every Caucasian is bad. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the originator of this idea, who may be past or who may be still present or who may be old, whatever, that becomes a poison to the people. We celebrate MLK Day, but yet we don't even own 10% of the business in our own community. We own less than 10% of the business in our own community, African American communities, but yet we go around talking about some celebrating MLK Day. We're a damn lie. You know, how you doing, Steve Phillips and Tamika? It's a lie, because how we're celebrating somebody who was about us, who got assassinated. Understand this. Martin Luther King got assassinated because he went from nonviolence to start preaching and talking about economic empowerment. Us being ownerships, us being homeowners, us owning land and property. That's when he got assassinated. That's when they said, oh, no, he can't on. It's going to be too powerful. Because you know what? When you can gather just by your voice and by your speech and by your passion, hundreds of thousands of African Americans to to boycott the buses, just on that right there. Guess what happens when you get 100,000 to say, let's all put $1 in, let's start buying property? It became that was scary, right? But the truth about it is that look what we got going on today. We got players now making, Michael Jordan's already a billionaire, right? But we got players now making even more money than that. Even more. They're going to make even more money than Michael Jordan. LeBron James will make more than Michael Jordan in the long run, right? Kevin Durant will make more than Michael Jordan in the long run. Those two definitely will, as they continue on. Not saying Michael Jordan will keep making money, but billions upon billions they will make. But then one thing that I do have to admire, Jalen Rose, LeBron James, and some other basketball players. LeBron James has the I Promise School in Cleveland. Jalen Rose has his university up in Detroit. You know, you got Derrick Rose doing some stuff in Chicago. Down here in Phoenix City, they have some NFL players that down here in Columbus, Georgia, Phoenix City area. The ex-NFL players or those who playing come down here and they're forming businesses. They're forming organizations to enrich the community. See, when you give back to your community, when you enhance your own community, you're also enhancing yourself. You're unifying your people to say, hey, listen, we can have more. We can be more. Put them drugs down. Put them drugs down. And there's nothing wrong with standing up against police violence. And I'm going to tell you like that, there's nothing wrong with standing up against police violence. Nobody should be able to walk in and shoot somebody and get scot-free off of some damn lights on some they fear for their life. The position of the Black Panthers was so strong, they were willing to fight back. They were willing to fight back. Based upon the amendment of being able to carry their own weapons, they were willing to fight back. And that means fight the police too. But did they? No, they didn't. No, they didn't. Never did in that sense. But became such a threat or such this jealousy, animosity. I'm gonna tell you something, man. If you don't look at the country, look at what we're going through right now in the country. Look at right now we're going in the country. The country's on the brink of a war, and I say this all the time. And I'm a veteran. I love my soldiers. I love what we have built this country to be, and I love what this country stands for in a positive way. But the next war will be a war that will change the direction of this country. Because, see, the next war will be 3 against 1. And I believe, that's just my own personal belief, it will be China, Russia, and Iran against America. Because of some of the things in leadership that has happened where America now stands by itself. You can't curse and don't think the curse ain't going to come back to you 3 times. You can't do people wrong and think what's going to come back to you ain't going to be 3 times. We're the youngest country. And yes, we're a beautiful country, a powerful country, and we're doing a whole lot. But we're also not a truthful country and a deceitful country. And what you have done, not just my ancestors' slaves, but what you've done when it came down to Asians, when it came down to Latinos come to the country, when it came down to a lot of people in this country, and things that have not been as justice system corrected, and then just corrected as far as politically as well. When you put those curses out, the curses come back to you 3 times as much. And you will deal with the curses. That's spiritually. You will deal with the curses. You look at opioid. Look at the opioid epidemic. Now it's an epidemic and we need to get them help, quote unquote, because there's white people that's out here popping all the damn pills and everything else and meth and everything else. Now it's an epidemic and we need to get them help. It wasn't an epidemic when you had African Americans, Latinos, Hispanics strung out on crack all across communities, falling out in the street because they were strung out on crack, dying everywhere, strung out on crack and heroin, right? It wasn't an epidemic then. It was brushed over and not looked at, right? But now because it's them, because the curse comes home. And I'm going to tell you people, man, every curse comes home. It may go out, and you can look it up spiritually. It may go out and do the damage that it was trying to do or attempt to do the damage it was trying to do. But because of the origin of the curse, in order for the curse to have completion, it must come back. It must come home. That's why you always don't want to curse nobody. You bless them, so the blessings come back to you. You don't curse them. If you can't even talk to them, don't curse them. But people don't understand that. So when we look at our own communities, and back to what I was saying, we look at MLK, we look at Martin King Jr. Excuse me. We look at Malcolm X. We look at Huey Newton and all these other people. There was a reason why they was not let out of prison. There was a reason why they were assassinated. There was a reason why people don't want to listen. Look at this. Why do you think Bill Cosby's in jail right now? Bill Cosby's not in jail for grabbing some woman titty from the 70s. Bill Cosby's in prison because Bill Cosby was in a position financially, and still is, to buy most of them TV networks. Why? Because then at the TV, he becomes an influence. From TV, he becomes an influence. We need to look up and understand that Bill Cosby wasn't able to do that because they put Bill Cosby in prison because Bill Cosby just that wealthy to do that, right? But on top of that, on the back end of that, what we have to understand is that there's another gentleman, African American, that just bought some TV networks. They block Ice Cube, LL Cool J, and some other people from buying TV networks. They blocked them. Why? Because when you own a TV network, now you get to put out an influencing message, right? You don't get to put out the ratchetness. You see the ratchet on TV when they try to represent African Americans. It's about being ratchet. It's about being negative. These reality TV shows where they get on there with some type of lies, right? But the other aspect of that is we have to stop being attracted to shiny and free and start searching for what the truth is in things, right? The comedian, I forgot his name, he used to have a show back in the day. He bought, I think he has 19 TV networks he done bought so far. African American. The reason why Bill Cosby's in prison, really, is because he's going to buy up a whole lot of TV networks. It ain't the first time Bill Cosby's going to do it. He's going to do it. Matter of fact, back in the mid-'90s, he was going to buy a bunch of TV networks as well, and Scandal came out to try to block him. Once you start digging and stop being attracted to what you just see or being off focus or letting what you initially see grab your attention and you start doing a little research, what you'll start seeing is that there's more to it. There's a whole lot more to it. And we have to understand that there's a whole, if we just begin to just take ourselves into a position of being more positive, stop just celebrating Martin Luther King Day, understand that we need to start owning. You want to celebrate? Own something. Buy a building. Buy some property. Open up a business. Because see, if we're celebrating Martin Luther King, we're celebrating what the dream was really about. The dream was about economic empowerment, economic freedom, economic independence. That's what the dream was about. It just wasn't about, we understand civil rights and nonviolence, but he began to see more and understand more because him and Malcolm X began to talk more. It just went, and then Martin Luther King assassinated, turned around and assassinated who? Malcolm X. But what they didn't understand was that wasn't going to stop anything. If anything, it just ignited a fire, and now the same spirit went out into thousands, hundreds of thousands. Now you got 100,000 Martin Luther King. Now you got 100,000 Malcolm X's. Now you got 1 million Huey Newtons out here. And it's just that position of where you can't stop what's spiritually right. You can't stop what spiritually what's going to be is going to be. You either line yourself right or in the end, you're not. But in the process of us getting there, we have to also understand that we have a responsibility. That responsibility is not to destroy our own communities. We don't have to destroy nobody else's community. But we definitely don't need to destroy our own. We definitely don't need to sit up here and begin to invest and buy up our own communities. Money talks. And we're in an age now where there are a lot of people of different races that are not racist. And I mean that, Caucasian or Arab, Hispanic, whatever. But we still need to understand that it's our responsibility. Nobody's going to come and save our community. Nobody should. We should, because we live in it. Fix your own community up. If you go to other communities, you see they fixed up. They look nice, right? And there's a reason why they look nice. And if we begin to take more responsibility in that way, we begin to understand that we can open up business in our community. And I understand something when I say this. I'm not saying this on a racist point. I'm not saying this, I'm not racist. But I'm not stupid either. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I need to be kumbaya with you as well. Right? You slap me on my cheek, I'm going to punch you in your face. So that's my position. That's why I stand there. I love my people. I'm not apologetic for loving my black people. I'm not apologetic for loving my black kings. I love my black kings. I love my black queens. I love them. I love the babies. I love us because I understand we're such a beautiful people and so talented that we have built civilizations on our back. We built the country on our back. You know, and when you look down the history, when you talk about African Americans and what we've done, what's up, man? What's up, Banks, brother? What's up, brother? When we look down the history, we have so many African Americans that have done so many great things in this country. Either been took it from, lied to, that when we celebrate MLK, we have to understand we're celebrating a whole 100 lines of history of come before him and those who coming after him. He was just one person, but we're still enriched to enjoy and celebrate all the magnificent things that embodies everything that we do. We still have people today that we haven't celebrated. You know, if we go down the line and start celebrating people, man, it's going to be something, right? We have bankers. We have African American women that invented the damn GPS. African American woman who invented the damn for the NASA, right? Broke the code for NASA so they can land the damn thing on the moon. Broke the code and how to land on the moon. It's amazing. It's amazing when we tap into the richness and the positive of what we are as a people. It doesn't mean we have to demean anybody else, put down anybody else, but what it does mean, we embrace everything we are. And what's bad, we fix. What's good, we build upon. But we stand firm in saying that we're not taking anymore. Right? And there's nothing wrong with that. We continue to position ourselves and put ourselves in a position where we can't keep looking at everybody else and saying, you know, or blame them or blame this or blame that. Now it comes to us. What are we doing? What are you doing? What am I doing? Am I going to buy a piece of property in my own community and fix it up and make it look nice? We can beautify our own communities if we begin to invest in our own communities. The beautification process is right in front of our face, but we do not take that as serious because we don't understand it. So we begin to understand that we can do these things that sit right before us. What's the problem? What's truly the problem? Right? That becomes a position of where we have to stand. That becomes a position where we really have to begin to start gravitating towards. Stop celebrating MLK Day as if like it's just shiny and free and begin to embrace the message behind it and start saying, you know what? I need to buy a piece of property. Understand the true message of what he's saying. Right? I have a dream speech is great. But where's your dream? I have a dream speech is great, but hasn't manifested in your life. I have a dream speech is great, but what are you doing to truly fulfill the dream in your life and the dream of that speech that's being said? Are you? He was talking about economic empowerment. Economic empowerment. Owning property, owning land, owning something. That's what he began to start talking about. And as he started talking about that right there, that's what they didn't like. That's what made people scared, was that he started talking about being enriched, being empowered. And that what made people start, or those who didn't like him or plot against him, begin to start setting up evil encampments in his own camp. It's those things right there. Hey, what's up, brother? What's up, Mathis? What's up, Rod? So when we talk about economic empowerment, man, and we talk about this thing right here, and we want to celebrate Martin Luther King, and they want to celebrate Black History Month, really is Black History Year, you know, but we got to understand economic empowerment comes from a position of us owning an asset, owning property, owning something. Because see, when you own something, that's when you truly have that power behind it because you own it. That's when the financial empowerment comes behind it. That's when you have the cash flow. You don't own the job. You don't own your job, right? But if you own your job, then guess what? You become the owner of the business, the CEO of that company. So that's what you're doing. You're paying out, right? That's why when Malcolm X and Martin Luther King was talking about, that's why they was assassinated. It wasn't about nonviolence. It wasn't so much about Malcolm X and his aggressive position right there. When they begin to start talking about economic empowerment and getting us to focus on financial management, manage our money better, pulling our money together, and start going out buying property, that's when it became a problem. That's when the whole thing became a problem, because at that point right there, those who were racist feared that, and they set him up to be assassinated. And unfortunately, they found the weakest person inside the camp and set them up through the weakest person. And we already have one person everybody have in mind with that already. And within the other one, what was set up was, it's strange how you can't destroy us from outside. The destroyment came from within. Malcolm X was assassinated from within. One of the guys was killed right there on the scene. The other guy was took in and I guess went to prison or whatever happened. Martin Luther King was set up from within. Set up from within. And and I'm gonna tell you something, regardless of the government, yes, the government initiated, but the government didn't finish it off. It was a black man that sit right there with Martin Luther King in his damn face every day and set him up. And we know that. And the truth, like I said, the truth is gonna come to it, the truth is gonna come out anyway. The truth is gonna come to face anyway. For some reason or another, but we have to take more responsibility as we go forth. I'm tired of celebrating MLK Day. I ain't even celebrating. I mean, wish the man happy birthday if he's still alive and stuff like that. And even though he still have kids, his kids are still alive and stuff like that, But it becomes more than that. It becomes more than that. It becomes even us understanding Malcolm X and celebrating his birthday that's coming up or whatever, coming soon. And understanding that what they was talking about was economic empowerment. What they was talking about was ownership. And that's what got them assassinated. When they talk about pulling the money together, right? I was in a group earlier today. And I told them, I said, it's 60 people in this group, and we're all talking about improving the community. If it's 60 of us in the group, everybody donate $100, that's $6,000 a month. That's $72,000 a year. Now, that's just $100. But it's 60 people in here. So if 60 people go to a bank and say, we want to buy this piece of property, and we're going to pay the mortgage on that property at 60 people a piece, guess what? 60 people just bought that piece of property. Guess what? In the group, people start leaving the group. These are black people. They start leaving the group. Oh, I'm getting out this group. I'm getting out this group. I'm getting out this group. And these are people that call themselves community leaders. Man, if you don't get your phony self out of here, a bunch of these people around here, man, they phony. They ain't putting their foot to the fire for nothing, really. They just a bunch of talk. And you're going to meet a lot of people who just a bunch of talk, and they're black people who are just a bunch of talk. They want hot air. They want to talk because they get some attention. But those who really trying to do something, it's just a different position, man. I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it, Rod, man. We got to catch up, man. I know you out and you enjoying yourself. We got to catch up sometime, brother. I don't know if you have my number. Let me put my number here real quick. I know you probably going to head out, but this is my number right here. But, I just want to be able just to spread it. I'm not trying to. Some people say I get angry. I'm not angry. I just know that as a people, we can have so much more if we come together. We can do so much more. We don't have to run a fast race. We can run a long race and do much more. We're so blessed. You got China trying to get into Africa, right? Right? You got Bill Gates talking he's gonna pay off Nigeria's debt. We know for a reason or something for it. We're such a blessed people. We have to begin to see how blessed we are. We have to begin to see how not only are we the life created through us, we are the first. We created civilizations. So as we continue to go forth, guess what we do? We continue to create. We continue to grow. We are blessed. It's blessings in us. The sun shines on us, and it's a blessing within us, right? We're not harmed by the sun. We're blessed by the sun. Take that and understand that, right? But I'm going to get off of here. I don't want to... I appreciate everybody that tuned in. I appreciate it, but I just want you to really take this one message and understand this. MLK, the message, and are you really absorbing the message, and what are you doing about it? On an economic level, are you buying property? Economic empowerment. That's what the message changed into, and that's what Malcolm X and Martin Luther King began to push. So I appreciate you people for being on here. Brianna, appreciate it. I gotta get with you too, Brianna. See how everything going with stuff like that. I see you doing the nails and stuff. And Rob, me and you get up too, brother. I give you my number. That's my number. Give me a text or call anytime, brother. I appreciate it. So I'm gonna get off of here. You all have a blessed night. I'm gonna be back on here tomorrow. And as a matter of fact, tomorrow when I get on here, I'm going to present in a link another great African American in this country that people don't even think about, right? So you all have a blessed night, And I'll talk to you later. All right? Bye-bye.